I feel like Detroit still is vintage, yet has that evolutionary way of moving with the times. Detroit is unstoppable.
One jet ski ride, one boat trip at a time, these Bahamians are saving the lives of their family, neighbors, and complete strangers. They launch from a bridge that is now underwater. Theirs is a dangerous mission. Hurricane-force winds are still raging here. Howard Armstrong was rescued after his house flooded to the ceiling. His house was one of hundreds lost as storm surge force wind Dorian swallowed whole neighborhoods. Armstrong's wife, Lynn, didn't make it.
It came over the roof. I would imagine 21 feet at least. We were doing all right until the water kept coming up and all the appliances were going around the house like a washing machine. That's probably I got hit with something in there. And my poor little wife got hypothermia, and she was standing on top of the kitchen cabinets until they disintegrated. And then I kept with her, and she just drowned on me.
I'm so sorry.
I know. So
how did you get out?
I got out. I had a big boat anchored in there. I'm a crab fisherman, and I have a 40-footer on a mooring, which stayed there. So I didn't even think it was there. So I had got out of the house after my wife drowned, and because you couldn't be in there anymore. And I had no tools to chop a hole in the roof, in the ceiling. So I saw my boat was still there, and I swam. I took a chance and swam out to it.
There's no power on Grand Bahama Island, no running water, sporadic cell service at best. Submerged cars block many roads. Maybe the last thing working here is this all-volunteer crew of boaters risking their lives to save lives. Dorian fights them every trip they make.
People coming with what they have, the jet skis they have, they are dealing with horrible weather conditions. It's not safe to be out on a boat right now. It's not safe to be out here at all, and yet they say they know there are people out there.
While we're there, winds flip a jet ski, and the rescuers have to halt their efforts. Rescuer Rochanelle Daniel says there isn't much time left.
They were exhausted. Some we had to carry. Some couldn't even make it. Some we put on the jet ski. We turned the whole jet ski over because they couldn't hold their weight up. First place we found was my brother. He was clinging onto a tree, and he made us safe, but we were unable to locate his wife at the moment. We hope that she's okay, but the rescue goes on and on. We had a lot of people supporting us. Everybody working as a team right here, you know. It's very hard, but you know what I'm saying, but we shall overcome.
How are you doing? You made it. You're safe.
Dozens have been rescued, but many more remain in total desperation as they spend their third night waiting for salvation.
They're going to get their neighbors, they say. Everyone says they know.
All right. Minneapolis is the city of surprises. What I like about you, you hold me tight. It's this small downtown feel surrounded by lakes, rivers, parks.
About you, that's what I like about you. Yeah.
John, as you said, likely up toward the Carolina coast. That's where it is headed. Right now, winds are still 105, although I haven't seen any from the Hurricane Hunter. The eye is very big right now, but the potential is still there because the pressure is still down. It could catch up. The winds could catch up to the pressure. Sometimes that happens. Moving to the north-northwest at 8 miles per hour. Here is the eye of the storm offshore for you. Every once in a while, another band comes on shore, picks the winds up to 45 or almost 50. Farther to the north, though, up into Brunswick, big storms coming through on there. Some of these may have a water spout or two today, although that's not really the big problem. The big problem is going to be the surge. Where does this wind that you see here, most of the white here, certainly those are 100-mile-per-hour gusts, those are offshore. Moving on up toward the north, toward Brunswick and Savannah, very close. We could get a gust there somewhere along the coast of somewhere close to 90 or 100. Now, not sustained, but a gust. But then when you push all this water into Myrtle or maybe Cape Fear or then eventually off the Outer Banks, that's when that water is going to slosh onto the shore. So we could see 5 to 8 foot surges from Charleston up to Cape Fear. And if the outer band is going to make, or the eye wall is going to make landfall, it would be from north of Charleston, likely, maybe toward Myrtle and then up toward Cape Fear. That would be the eye wall itself. But the problem here for Charleston Harbor is a 10.3 foot water level coming up over 2 tidal cycles here coming up. That would be the second highest tidal cycle ever, only behind Hurricane Hugo. John.
The sound of New Orleans is a beautiful story.
I want to put on my boogie shoe.
No matter how hard something gets, we're always going to rise above, and we're going to have a party while we do it.
I want to put on my boogie shoes to play with you.
President Trump isn't asking for a mulligan after hitting the links at his Virginia golf course over the Labor Day weekend as Hurricane Dorian pounded the Bahamas. He's teeing off on his critics, tweeting that many politicians exercise for hours or travel for weeks. Me, I run through one of my courses, very inexpensive. But the president wasn't alone in showing his preference for Trump properties. Vice President Mike Pence stayed at the Trump Golf Resort in Doonbeg, Ireland, 3 hours from Dublin, where he was to hold official meetings.
I understand political attacks by Democrats. The opportunity to stay at Trump National in Doonbeg to accommodate the unique footprint that comes with our security detail and other personnel made it logical.
As it turns out, staying at the Trump Club was Mr. Trump's idea. Pence's chief of staff told reporters, "I don't think it was a request like a command. I think it was a suggestion." The White House says the president was receiving constant updates on the storm, even as Mr. Trump was stating he had never heard of a Category 5 hurricane before.
I'm not sure that I've ever even heard of a Category 5. I knew it existed, and I've seen some Category 4s. You don't even see them that much, but Category 5 is something that I don't know that I've ever even heard the term, other than I know it's there.
But that's not true. The president has repeatedly claimed he's never heard of such storms in the past.
It was a Category 5. I never even knew a Category 5 existed. Nobody's ever heard of a 5 hitting land.
I saw the devastating effects of that Category 5 hurricane, Category 5.
Former White House Communications Director Anthony Scaramucci says he's worried about the president's mental state.
So he has a few phrases that he uses repetitively that he thinks working, and so saying that he's never heard of a Category 5 hurricane and not remembering that he's heard of a Category 5 hurricane is emblematic of what's going on in terms of the mental decline.
Over the weekend, the president stated that in addition to Florida, South Carolina, North Carolina, Georgia, and Alabama will most likely be hit much harder than anticipated. But that wasn't quite right. The National Weather Service in Birmingham appeared to correct Mr. Trump's tweet, saying Alabama will not see any impacts from Dorian. The president didn't like the coverage that received, tweeting it was in fact correct that Alabama could have received some hurt. Always good to be prepared.
Oh, God, they're shooting right there.
One of the big questions as Congress returns from recess is whether lawmakers will pass new gun laws. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell says much of that is riding on the president.
If the president took a position on a bill so that we knew we would actually be making a law and not just having serial votes, I'd be happy to put it on the floor.
We've got a new track now from the National Hurricane Center, Don, but for the most part, as we focus in on this, it's still a strong Category 2 and will remain that way for about 36 hours. It's still moving at 6 miles per hour, jogging now north-northwest. But again, at 6 miles an hour, strong for so long, Don. We're going to